Hello and welcome. This is Chart Request Live. We do this show every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time right here on Stock Market TV. I am joined, as always, by my esteemed co-host and friend, Patrick Dunn-Willa of the Chart Report. Hi, Pat.
Stevie, how we doing?
I'm excited for today's show. Sorry,
We
guys.
got a busy one.
15 minutes late. We'll go
Huh.
to, we'll, what's your day like? We'll go till 2 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I can go till two.
We can do two.
Do you want to get right into it? You got any thoughts on the market?
Uh,
Awfully quiet out there from in
no,
the major indices at least.
I have thoughts about a lot of things. And we had some news today on the crypto front, and we've been
Okay.
drawing this one like this for a while. No?
And the question is it a top or not, right?
Well, I think you have an opinion because I'm pretty sure you called me a while back saying I'm buying this 120 zone. No?
Got it.
Why?
That was back in April.
Right here.
Um, yeah, it's just really setting up and you zoom out a little more. It's really behaving well and it's had so many chances to break down and it just hasn't.
Biggest update since late May. For me, this is the biggest part of it.
Uh,
Momentum does not get oversold in the best uptrends.
that's a
Right?
great point. Yeah.
And Solana continues to demonstrate that this is the preferred vehicle in terms of cryptocurrencies. There's not a better one. You can go down the cap scale and trade a Jasmy or an Ondo or one of these high flyers, right? But you're not going to get the same kind of quality, low volatility characteristics that you'll get with something like Solana. This one hangs in there. Of course, when it corrects, we're down 40%, or we were down 40% 3 or 4 days ago, right? But
Right.
when this one goes, it goes. And it's also, frankly, I'm sorry to put my fundamental cap on and judge these cryptos, but Solana is something that to me has staying power. Some of my smartest friends in the world will tell you the best things ever about Solana. So it has the whole fundamental story right behind it, and the price action supports it. So it checks both boxes, and that's always nice. The question becomes for crypto, and we had the new Van Eck announced their filing for like a spot Solana ETF, which is what's driving that today. But the bet that we're making is simply that if it's not a top in Solana, it's probably not a top in Bitcoin, right? So you could draw this the same way, and then you see Bitcoin rebounding with certainly less momentum off the lows. But we're basically saying, if Solana's not breaking down, if Binance isn't breaking down, if Ethereum isn't breaking down, Bitcoin's probably not breaking down either. I don't love the oversold reading here, but it's probably going to be okay. And then you have to think, okay, when we go down the cap scale, so many look like this. This is Avalanche. I don't hate this though, right? Because
Yeah, you could
take
easily
out,
just reclaim that, and then you're looking at a really bullish scenario, right?
thank you, right? It actually gets more bullish when you have something like this at the low, right? So do we shake here and rip higher? I think something like Avalanche, and you can go through like your crypto universe and you'll find so many, too many that look like this. If these tops end up failing, the ones with the shakes are going to give you a lot of momentum off of those lows. So something like Avalanche or Algo, I think they're very tradable.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about it the right way here. Look at you betting on a failed breakdown, huh? Before it happens. I'm rubbing off on
I
you.
mean, I'm not. Well, we'll see. We'll
Let's
see.
get to these tickers. We have so many to get to.
Yeah.
But this one we're starting off with Wavy, BRFS, potential takeover target. And we have new 52-week highs today. Thanks.
Gene, can you take my screen down for a second? This is absolutely ridiculous.
BRFS. Heard.
Sorry. Tech support.
Man, I want to know where Wavy finds these. I don't think I've ever recognized this stock at these.
Yeah, Briffles. All right. Okay.
Just one moment while Steve gets
Yeah.
set up
All
here.
right. Um,
A lot of chatter about Chewy in the chat here, Steve.
Gene, what if we had to pivot to a different chart setup? This is the one. Sorry. We yeah, we have like overload problems.
Was your trading view not working?
Yeah, I cannot get in. BRFS.
BRFS. Look at this. We're getting Optima edition.
Yeah.
CRL.
Wavy always brings the nice bases. But if you zoom out, I mean, I don't love it. Right? Like the trend line break is typically one of the first things that you'll get in a trend reversal. And this one's not quite done yet. Working on it. You would draw it something like this. So I would say you played off the trend. Maybe drop some VWAPs. I think these 2019 highs are a good place to do that. Comes in right around like 350. I think you really want to see the trend line break. And then if we were to flip this to like a daily, some sort of move through the pivot highs, which come in around 390. So I think that's really the move here. 390, fine. You could say this is a structural trend reversal. And then you want to pick your spots. I think first stop 6.
So we're actually over 390 today. I know you don't have today's data on there, but
no
we're
live
at
data.
397. So we're pushing $4 today.
So this trend line is breaking then. So I think
a little bit, Steve, but not too much. You're right. I mean, we're really not out of the woods too much.
So with something like that, you want to say like, how can I get confirmation? And you could use momentum for that. Are we getting an overbought reading today?
Yes, actually. In the weekly. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So overbought, taking out the VWAP. I think call it 4 to 6, 50% upside.
That's not nothing. That's not nothing. All right. Shall we move on to let's do Shopify. We were discussing Shopify a few weeks ago. I'm concerned it's lost the necessary momentum in the near term. Swing trade to 69. I like it a lot. However, I can't wait on it. You guys will have a better beat on it than I do.
Shopify is a failed top.
It's really a failed top, so bullish.
Yeah, Gene, we're gonna go back, if that's okay. Sorry about for the technical difficulties today. This is all my fault.
There we go.
If we're okay here. All right, back to trading view, Pat. So here's the way I view Shopify. Okay, you zoom out, the trend reversal's in. Let's flip it to a weekly just to show that. First of all, structural trend, very much intact, right? This is a long-term leader. Okay, how about this cycle? It got absolutely blasted off of 2021 low or 2021 highs, right? From November of 2021 to October of 2022. This was probably an 80% drawdown. Let's just measure it out. Almost a 90% drawdown, right? 85% drawdown. And then you could say, all right, this base is in here with a nice little retest in October of last year. We launch off the lows. Now, how do we play this today? I think you have a failed top right here, Pat. And this one's been slow. It's been messy, but I would draw it like this. That's the polarity zone. And the VWAP is going to help us. VWAP always helps us. So drop a VWAP from this little blow off high in February. It's going to come in right around this little neckline. So
yeah, I was going to say that neckline couldn't be any clearer, huh?
It's really good. So you'd say this is a top. Boom. We launch lower, and then we build out a little tradable low. get out of there. I think you could use the VWAP here around 69 or the neckline around 71, but you want to bet on this one continuing to rise over longer time frames. I think Shopify goes back to its prior cycle highs before the end of this cycle. So I think there is some really incredible potential upside in a trade like
If you were
this.
long this one, where would your out point be?
If I was long right now,
Yeah. And maybe you sat through that nasty breakdown there.
right here, and the VWAP will confirm it.
There you go. I like that.
So 64, don't really want to be involved, and then you get confirmation of that around 62 3/4.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
But this is one I'm looking to buy, not sell.
Because it was like a long-term former leader and just hasn't participated this cycle.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, you could still see the 200-day more or less rising. I guess it's been flattening since April, right? But this has been the 200-day. This is a primary uptrend. You want to be patient with it. Nasty shake, but we've seen this in software stocks. Some of these cycle leaders, ServiceNow comes to mind, right? We've seen these shakes, and you don't want that kind of price action to make you throw these good stocks out.
And what's that neckline there? Like 70? I mean, you got everything there. You got the VWAP, you got the 200-day, you got the just horizontal resistance or support.
And you're getting like a bit of a VWAP pinch here, right?
Right.
And we could draw that pinch even better if we anchor from the October lows from last year, right? So you see how these VWAPs from the lows govern the sell-offs, right? And tend to act as support on corrective action. And then you got the VWAP from the high, which is acting as resistance, right, in the reaction phases. So now they're kind of squeezing in here. So 53 to 70-ish gives you a range. We could chop here for a while, which is why you want something like this to really prove itself. That starts around 68. You got the VWAP around 69. You got the neckline around 70, right? So that's your area. You want to see this candle today close looking something like this or better, and then keep moving into this space up here. But I like Shopify, and I love Shopify above 70 3/4.
I like it. All right, let's move on. Let's see. This one comes from Jonathan. Thoughts on RSKD? Break above $6.50.
Yeah, the risky D. So
first target seems to be $9. Would this one seem to have some explosive upside since limited price history is available?
I have like a sweet spot for Israeli tech stocks.
Is that what this is?
Yeah. This is a good one. Packaged software. I believe it's like financial software. Isn't this like RIA software or something?
I could tell you.
It's like
engages in fraud prevention solutions. Interesting.
What prevention?
Fraud prevention.
Okay.
Looks like to like e-commerce. Yeah. So yeah, this is a nice base. If I know you got it in a daily here, but I got it in a weekly, and it looks pretty nice.
The voice of God reminding me everything I'm doing wrong. Bang. Riskified. There you go. Look at this. Pat, you're not wrong. It looks great on a weekly. But the reason why I drew this target line here is because I think we just filled this gap.
Yeah.
Or head towards this gap zone, rather, right?
Steve, do you ever look at volume profile much?
Yeah, of course. I can't pull it up on TradingView, though. But if I did, it would show a nice little gap right here. It would, it would show a gap here. Right?
Yeah.
Volume profile would simply show that very little trading. Buyers and sellers have really not exchanged much in terms of price here between 8.5 and 17.5. So that's a huge zone. So I think you would play this one as the base breakout is more or less valid at 650, and then confirmation using some sort of volume at price indicator, which I'm more or less just doing manually here. So call it 650, confirmation at 850, and then you can have a double from there to about 16. That's great. The VWAP is going to come in and give us something, but it's not going to be at the base breakout. You could also use that for confirmation, right? So all of these different price levels, we could use all these different tools to help us manage our trade better. None of it's really like rocket science or is going to work perfectly. But I think you start to jump this reversal pattern at 6.5. I think you use this VWAP around 7.5, or even this gap zone or this price memory zone around 8.5 for confirmation to kind of finish off the position. But this looks great. This is a textbook bearish to bullish trend reversal.
Is this like an ARC stock or something? Because it looks awfully.
It looks like it. I don't know if it is.
Anyway, let's move on to JD. Chinese stocks, they were super hot a few weeks ago. You don't hear anything about them this recently. They've had quite the pullback. Yeah, find us some levels.
No, this is
Would you say so? Actually, Ivan's asking a really, really important question here. He's saying, is it still in an uptrend or not?
No.
I think it's in this transition period where it's well, maybe I should speak. I'm talking about Chinese equities in general.
But I think it's the same. I think what you're saying holds
now.
true.
Yeah, now that it broke that neckline, I didn't see that broke the neckline there. Yeah, that's pretty ugly.
Here's the thing. This is a primary uptrend, right? A rising 200-day moving average for a couple of years until we get some sort of a consolidation phase where we go sideways. This is how markets work, right? You go from up to sideways or trendless to down. And now I think what you're saying is we're back to kind of a trendless sideways phase, or we're trying to transition from down back to up.
But you really need to make a higher low here. If it's going to be that, it really needs to make a higher low like now.
Right. And it still has not gotten done. And like we could show this in a number of different ways. That's one of them, right? You don't want to see that. This is another one of them.
Or even how about just the fact that it went back into the neckline, right? That's ugly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this should be red. Right. So all three of these things, right? We broke a key short-term polarity zone from the November pivot highs, January pivot highs, March pivot highs. We had started to act as support. We plunge right through it, get oversold, right, which is nasty. Break the trend line off of the what a bull would hope to be the cycle lows from February. We break the VWAP from those same lows. The 200-day moving average, now we're back below that. It's still downward sloping. This never transitioned to an uptrend. This was never an uptrend over a primary trend point of view. So I think more work to do. You don't want to touch this on the long side until we're back above 29. But just the fact that we're back into this box, this is a very bearish development for Chinese equities. And here's the thing, Pat, it's happening across the board, right? We could draw a lot of charts the same way. If Alibaba and JD aren't going to work, China's probably not working. Right? So we got what looked to be an awesome breakout. And this is why people just say never China, right? This kind of price action. Back in the box. It's really ugly. There's nothing to do here unless you're looking for something on the short side. But trust me, I got worthless call options in Alibaba right now. I'm not thrilled about it either.
Yeah. No, that's brutal. I mean, if it doesn't make that higher low, then it's business as usual for these things. That's ugly.
Even if it does, it's like, all right.
Right.
Sloppy as hell. Big mess. It needed, frankly, both of these charts needed to hold this neckline. And the fact that they didn't is information about China as an asset class.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do Qualcomm.
Now we're talking.
Qualcomm.
Southeast Asia, online retail.
No, I'm sorry. Qualcomm. Qualcomm, sorry. We could do coupon. I know you love your coupon.
If you want to know about coupon, there'll be a report on the blog for members this afternoon.
We looked at it last week too.
Yeah, we looked at
Tuesday. Maybe Tuesday.
It's become a Straza favorite. This is great, man. Love this. Fishing in the right pond. Mega cap. Semiconductor. Hard retest.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't hate. We bought some of these hard retests in recent history, and they've been good to us. So I think As long as 192 holds, that's great. Looks like it's holding here today. Then maybe confirmation on a reclaim of the April VWAP. That comes in right around 197. The other way to do it would be to say, hey, let's get back to new all-time highs, 227. But I don't think you want to wait. You want to jump these entries. It's a bull market, so use the VWAP from the April lows. The bigger point is this is a beautiful chart pattern. This is a pattern that we buy over and over and over again. Right? So against 193, I think it's good.
I like it. Very clean, right?
Yeah.
And you know, for all the talk about semis being done, this is just a retest at this point. You know, you can't call that a breakdown. Nasty move this last week, but no breakdown yet. Still totally intact.
I think,
so this next one from Hansen.
Pat, this is something to be mindful of, though, right? In Qualcomm,
You're putting it against equal weight semis.
yeah. Like
You're talking, yeah, just how
you're basically betting that things change, right? Because
Right,
Qualcomm
right.
has been actually a big laggard for more than a decade now.
within the semis, yeah.
Periods. Yeah.
But
So I
how
think
is it done relative to like S&P or NASDAQ?
probably pretty much in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big range, right? That makes
Oh
sense.
man.
No alpha for 25 years now.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it can't work in the future. Like we used to say this about Microsoft, Pat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Years
I remember
ago.
there was a time when Microsoft was just boring as heck.
Like, yeah, you could buy it, but there's been no alpha there. So that's Qualcomm now. It doesn't mean it can't change, but it's something to be aware of, right? Because the leaders
Absolutely, yeah.
space look like this on a relative basis. So if you're going to own Qualcomm, just know that you could own or could have owned this. Right? So there might be better options in the space.
Especially if you're owning it because you want semi exposure.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're looking specifically for semiconductor exposure, you probably find better setups or more relative strength than Qualcomm. What you might not be able to find, though, right here, right now, is the actionability of this chart. Right. So I like it a lot for that reason. If you want to make the bet that maybe this one starts leading in the future, right, or can start to maybe complete that base against semiconductors relative, this is the spot where you do want to start building a position and buying it. Right. So this one's very clean and clear level here at 193.
That's a good point.
And leadership changes, you know, so.
Yeah. So this next one I really like. We put this on in the buzz about 3 weeks ago. GWRE, Guidewire. It's a software.
Yeah.
Stock.
Cyber.
You familiar with it? Beautiful cyber. This one. Who brought this one? Hansen, right?
This is my pick of the day so far, Pat.
Yeah, I would agree. Nice job.
Because I like this group. I like this space. I think software, cyber. Is this actually cyber? I thought it was cyber. Global property and casualty insurance industry. So it's like insurance software. That's fantastic. This is the right pond to be fishing in. I think we want to be asking ourselves, if we get rotation, do we rotate out of tech or do we rotate within tech? And I think when you look at a chart of IGV or FDN, let's just talk about this real quick, right?
Yeah.
These are leaders. They were early cycle leaders, but then they've done this. All of these. Software, sideways all year, right? And look at this candle today, 2.5% blasting higher. We were selling puts in software names in late May, right? Early this month, saying that's not going to be a top. Now you're getting what is a continuation pattern breakout. That's going to happen to internet, right? Same thing, not a top. Saying this, Pat, not a top, right? You could have bought it here. Now you should probably buy it here. Hack, cyber, not a top, right? Could have bought it at the lower bounds or sold puts. Now we're getting a breakout. You could draw a trend line like this. We're reclaiming VWAPs, right? These things are going. And Sky. I think, don't forget about cloud. These data companies. So while semiconductors have been raging higher, everything else in tech has been straight sideways all year. And now you're getting these continuation pattern breakouts. I think it's time to rotate some capital from the leadership groups, right? This is what semis have done this year. Straight line higher, driven by the strongest stocks in the market. I think you look to other tech groups, and that's kind of the theme that you want to lean on into the back half of this year. Oh, Guidewire. Sorry, let me give you a level. So this one's going. I would just fib it out here.
Fib it out. I'm curious to see what your target is. We'll compare because I got a target for you too.
183.
183?
What do you think?
180, yeah, more or less.
180 works.
I rounded down. That's the only reason it's different.
No, it looks great. But pond that we want to be fishing in, guide wires in it. That's the bigger point.
Why don't you just touch on this one real quick because I don't want to go too far down the macro rabbit hole. We got a pretty full chat to
dollar.
Get to.
Donovan bringing the dollar request.
Dixie, yep, Donovan with the dollar request. Looks like a huge base, the type that we would buy for trend reversals. What are your thoughts about how it could affect the broader market? That's a good question because here we are. I think we hit a year-to-date high yesterday in the dollar. I could be wrong. Somebody double check me on that, but or it's getting close to a year-to-date high. No, we didn't hit that. Don't quote me on that, but
I got you.
Definitely getting up there and hasn't mattered to the market at all.
So fractals are cool, right? And I know what base Donovan's asking about, but I think it's important to put the base we're about to talk about in this context. There are a number of bases here. And look at which way they keep resolving in. Betting against the US dollar is like betting against US tech stocks. It's just that's just a hero trade, right? So this one keeps stair-stepping higher. Dollar very strong in terms of the global Forex market. This is the base Donovan's talking about, though. And I think we have to consider two things. We have the breakout level from the structural base right around here. And then when we zoom in, that's basically drawing a line right through the current range that we're wondering about. Okay, how does this range resolve? And now let me just tighten this base up because it's an ugly arch. I don't know. We've talked to TradingView about this, but I don't think it's ever going to change. So tighten that up, and then you could draw a base breakout level here around 107. Yeah, 107. So the other base that came before this, more or less intact, resolved higher. When you look at the 200-day moving average in the US dollar index, sideways, speaks to a trendless nature of the US dollar right now. And then you would say, okay, well, we got to take out these pivot highs around 106.50 and then get to 107. And then maybe we get some sort of, big markup in favor of the US dollar that puts pressure on risk assets. What I've observed this year and last year is that as long as the dollar is in this range, let's draw it as a range, not as a rounding bottom, the market's not going to react too much or freak out. I think you get a reaction from the market on one of these two moves. We either need to take out the upper bounds of this range, right? And that will tell market participants, expect more headwinds on risk assets in the future because the dollar is going to continue to rise, and who knows, it might go to 115. Right? Or we finally get some sort of takeout of the lower bounds of this range, which we've defended time and time again over the cycle. If we take out 100 in Dixie, then I think you see a significant tailwind for risk assets, right? But as long as we're between 107 and 100, I don't think you're going to see too much of an impact on other asset classes.
You know what I think it is? I think the bigger wrecking ball, I feel like, was yields. And for the longest time, they were moving together, the dollar and yields, and they've kind of decoupled. And yields have been coming down, and the dollar has been continuing higher. So it's almost like, should we worry about the dollar as much anymore because they're not moving with yields? You know what I mean?
Are you ready to say that they're not moving, that the dollar's not moving with yields anymore, though? Like I feel like
yeah.
I feel like it might just be a short-term thing. For now, I kind of expect that relationship to reassert itself, But
I mean, it's been like 2 months now. I don't know. It's something to think about.
right, so Pat's talking about how the 10-year yields across the board have been falling since late April, right? Meanwhile, if you look at the dollar, it's been rising over that similar time frame, right? I think for the most part, the big takeaway from an intermarket perspective is that they're both in ranges. And
Yeah.
until yields take out the upper bounds or the lower bounds of their range and the dollar does the same, I don't think we need to worry as much as maybe we have the past several years about these intermarket headwinds or tailwinds. I think right now they're neutral. Neutral wins. No wins.
No wins. I like that.
We need some sort of resolution of these ranges, and I think we need both of these ranges to resolve to confirm one another. And I think they're going to continue to move in the same direction.
All right, well, let's get into the fun stuff. We got a full lively chat here going on. Let's start with Chewy because a lot of people are talking about Chewy here. Someone mentioned it got halted.
Yeah. Is it like a buyout or
man,
something going on?
I know we've been watching this cruise ship reverse, but it is really reversed fast. Like it went from looking like, oh, okay, Chewy looks decent. It went from Chewy looks terrible to Chewy doesn't look bad to now it's like,
Oh,
okay, Chewy's reversed.
fuck, dude. So this is like a part of our job. So Chewy volume pop as traders on social media circulate a tweet by Roaring Kitty of a picture of a dog. I'm very lucky. I have a trading forum that I'm in where I get to kind of talk about or hear what the folks at hedge funds and institutions around the world and trading desks around the world are talking about. And this came across at 1:01 today. Roaring Kitty tweeted a picture of a dog. And Chewy got halted, Pat? Is that right?
I listen, man, as soon as it gets to those characters, I just kind of tune out.
And now apparently Kramer is jumping on this bandwagon. And
Okay, yeah. See, it's got all the wrong people involved here. It's just
club members, Mad Money watchers, we recommended Chewy on Tuesday. Sell half right now.
what an absolute train wreck.
Can't make this up. But so apparently the whole pet health space, which, if you followed us and heard the things
GameStop buying 9% stake in Chewy.
PetMed. What's that?
Is that real? Is GameStop buying a stake in Chewy?
Yeah, GameStop's so here's what happened with GameStop about a year ago. They brought Ryan Cohen on board and they said, we got some treasury cash. Why don't you trade meme stocks? I swear to God. That's what GameStop's been doing. So what do you think Ryan Cohen went and did with that cash? He bought the company that he founded that he owns a ton of. Like all of these things, if you just take a step back and think about it, none of this is crazy. It feels crazy in the moment, but it makes a ton of sense.
It's like what they say, follow the money.
We've been saying this for 6 months now. Chewy might be, a good squeeze option because that GameStop treasury cash is going to be pouring into it.
What was short interest last at for Chewy?
At what point do you think Ryan Cohen and what's the man's name? The
Roaring Kitty, Keith Gill.
Gill, right? At what point can we just draw the conclusion that Keith Gill is being funded by Ryan Cohen and that they're both in cahoots?
Oh man, you know what? Let's not even spend more time on this one. It's just,
I don't know if this is like not a hot take among reporters, but it just seems so obvious at this point. Like obvious.
Yeah. Oh man, they're definitely meeting in like a parking garage somewhere, and there's an envelope being changed hands. Oh yeah.
Are they gonna have to make a sequel to the movie, Pat?
Sounds like they're setting up for it.
It was so bad. Listen,
let's move on. Let's go to there's been a couple questions about VLO.
Yeah, let me just finish the Chewy. Here's the problem, because I'm in this one now and I'm literally hearing this news live. I'll probably sell at least half my stake today. Because I'm not interested in these trades.
You're long common or?
Yeah, I'm in the common. So we got in right before earnings. We talked all about it. Well advertised, right? We got in on this scoop here. So I have the calls and the common on this scoop higher right ahead of earnings. We got the earnings pop, then the base completed. I held the common, but this is just not something I want to be involved in. Like I tell JC, I don't want to be involved in the Tesla trade. I don't want to be involved in the DJT, the Trump trade. Like, and the same thing with Chewy or GameStop. Maybe for a couple days or a couple weeks at a time, sure. But then this crazy stuff starts happening. I can't. I have no edge in that game, right? So Chewy, great, probably a fantastic selling opportunity.
Okay.
Way wrong. If Cohen and Kitty are going to get involved together, it could be at 500 tomorrow too. So don't listen to me about this one again.
For like an hour and then it'll dump.
Yeah, but it gets silly, and I think this is bad for markets.
I think your advice is perfect. It's just kind of, this is Looney Tunes.
I hope the SEC shuts this stuff down because it's really, you're right, Pat. It's a waste of our time, and I hate talking about it. But like all of this running these meme stocks, I hope that they figure out a way to make these guys stop doing it.
Honestly, the reason I don't get involved is I feel like, yeah, even if there is some hanky panky going on, you're just like exit liquidity, or you're just like adding to it. You're part of the show, the freak show. So
like what we do as analysts is we try to like figure out where we have an edge and exploit that edge. Like once it goes crazy town, like there's no edge. You're gambling. I'll go play roulette, right?
Yeah. If you want a thrill, go to Vegas or something like that. VLO.
So the crazies have ruined Chewy. Moving on. Oil and gas.
The degenerates have ruined a good stock. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a good stock.
It's a bummer. I'm actually really bummed because I love Chewy.
You've been a big customer at Chewy for a while.
I love the company. I think what they're doing is fantastic. I think Ryan Cohen's just.
Yeah, I heard they send you flowers when your pet dies. I think that is such a nice touch.
Dude, they're just everything about them and their brand is great. Like I buy everything for my cats there. And I used to. Do you not for pickles? Like you're not.
So I don't. I'm just stuck in the Amazon ecosystem, and I haven't found like a good reason to move yet.
Oh, dude, like I get like the flea medicine and stuff. So they do like the pet pharmacy too at Chewy, and like every like 2 medications I buy, I get 1 free. I think the deals are better.
Nice.
So Valero, this is a spot. Go ahead, sell puts, go crazy. 148 is that level. This is
now if you don't know about options, why would you be selling puts here?
If you don't know about options,
just walk through why you'd be selling puts here and doing it. Why this is a perfect opportunity to sell puts.
No, it's a great question, Pat. So when I look at a chart like this, I don't have too much conviction yet that we're going to start moving higher. Right? I want to see this VWAP be reclaimed. That happens about 6 points higher from here. But I do have a lot of conviction looking at this chart that this level is going to hold, right? Because this was big resistance in the past. We got a monster breakout, a hard retest. Momentum never got oversold. That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
MACD's crossing over on a daily basis. I think we dig in and hold here. What I don't have conviction about is that price rises off of this level. I don't think it will break this level. So selling puts will pay me. I can make a great trade selling puts. Price doesn't have to rise. It just has to not fall, right? If I were buying calls or buying common stock, I would be making the bet that price rises from here. I think it maybe needs more time, right? Yeah. Before we enter a new rally mode phase, right? Let this thing base for a little while. Maybe it chops a bit. But I think in the meantime, you could sell puts because this 149, 148 zone has proven itself as a critical polarity zone. And buyers showed up here once again, defended it. And I think you can make the bet that that level holds.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're not even making the bet that like maybe it'll act as support. It already is proving that there's some support there. So you already have a decent chance of it working there. All right, let's move on. Let's check out Sambo's request here, CSPI. I know you like this one. I'm sorry, KSPI.
I feel like just the more I think about it, Roaring Kitty is probably just trolling Kramer.
What is this thing, KSPI? I know you like this one, but what the heck is this thing?
25 billion Kazakhstan online retail e-commerce conglomerate.
Is that like the entire GDP of Kazakhstan?
You know, Pat. Maybe it might just be, I don't know.
But that's a lot for like a foreign.
Again, it's another good question. We were just having this conversation off air, like Sam and I, like, is it really 25 billion? I was like, are you sure? Like, it's not just because it's an international stock, something going on there. No, it's 25 billion. 135 is the breakout level. It looked like it was selling off today. Again, we'll have a big post about the Amazons of different countries on the blog today, which I'm really excited about. It's an awesome report. We're doing a deep dive on basically the Amazon of every region or country of the world. And
Now,
there are
Steve,
so
imagine
many.
if the Amazon actually starts breaking out, how many of those little Amazons of might start working, right?
That's why we're dropping the post, because it's like everyone and their mother sees Amazon and wants to buy that chart. That's great. Maybe you make 15, 20%. Fantastic. But beneath the surface, in this niche industry group of online retail, there are far better opportunities than Amazon right now. You just have to know them. So I'm excited about this post. This is one of them. If Caspi gets above 135, you got to buy this all day. You measure the base out or fib the base out. It's going to give you about 153. That's it. And then from there, I think you want to run this one a lot higher. I would almost ignore the 161 and take it to 180. So buy on strength above 136. Love this. Love this setup. Love Jumaya. Love Coupang. Love C Limited. Go read the post.
All right, we got just a couple more that we can get to, and then we should probably shut it down. Let's take a look at DYN. This is from Mark. Squeeze to 45.
Oh, Dyne Therapy.
DYN, yeah.
It's a great chart. How big
This was one, I think it showed up on both of our scans. It showed up on what, your short squeeze list or freshly squeezed or?
3.5 billion. Pat, I run too many scans. I'm not. I feel like this one.
I think this was a big short one. I'll look it up.
Looks fantastic. Bottom line is, doesn't matter what scan this would have popped up on. This is a chart that we buy.
Yeah. Right. 9% short interest. So
yeah,
not nothing, but
not nothing.
Not good enough to lean on.
Yeah. There you go. Next stop 50 from there, 77. I like this.
I'm just trying to get to a bunch. Let's do Hut.
Yeah, we'll do Hut quick. I took a little bit of profits this morning. I think that something like DYN, that's the way you want to be thinking, right? Because this is biotech, right? Biotech is completing a base right now, entering a new uptrend phase. Buy the best ones. Something like Dynatech, I keep calling it Dynatech, Dyne Therapeutics.
Dyne Therapeutics, yeah.
Taking out the prior cycle highs, right? Clearly a leader in the space. Those are kind of, the kinds of stocks that you want to use as vehicles to make a bet on an industry group that's just completing a trend reversal. DYN completed the price action that IBB is completing back in January, right? And it's already hit 2 targets since. So I love that.
Well, you know what? We got a good question from Nikki here. He says, I get not wanting to be in DJT because volatility, but why not Tesla? I thought that 3 to 4 year consolidation was right up your alley, Steve. Yeah. Or just maybe too early for the consolidation.
Again, it goes back to crazy town. Tesla is also crazy town, right? I don't want to be in stocks. Listen, I'm doing things. I'm selling puts. I'm buying calls. I have very aggressive ways to express my theses. I don't need to wake up in the morning and Elon Musk tweeted something about a Hawk Tua and the SEC sent a notice and Tesla stock is down 10%. I just don't need that in my life, right? So I would look at GameStop or now Chewy or Tesla or the Trump stuff, all in the same way as Tesla. There's just too much extracurriculars going on there for me, right?
As technicians, we like to ignore all that news and all the drama, right? But at the same time, you got to know when it's kooky enough to just stay away from it. Just leave it,
Yeah, and I was just talking to JC about this. We were just on the phone. He was saying, I've been doing this for so long. I know when sentiment's offsides. I know when the masses are saying one thing. It's time to press it. That's not the game that I want to play. My edge is in price action and technical analysis, right? So when I see the chart, I want to know that if I'm right or wrong on this trade, it's going to have pretty much everything to do with the chart, not some sort of press release or some sort of crazy tweet. So I'm trying to minimize the risk of externalities to my process as much as possible. If I can find a stock that nobody ever talks about, no analysts cover, nobody tweets about, then I know price action is going to govern whether I'm right or wrong on this, not some sort of press release or news event. And Tesla, it's just too much. It's too much for me.
Well said, brother. It's a good way to avoid some headaches in your life and be able to sleep at night, right?
I sold some this morning simply because my alert went off and it hit my target. Glad I did now. I only sold half the position. I actually moved it into Hive before triggering, but for me, for now, Hut is good. I completely exited my Wolf common stock also. I have some January 2025 calls, but I think with the Bitcoin miners, you can move around and pick your spots for now, but if Bitcoin's not going to leave the station and take off, I think a lot of these recent gains are given back, right? Bitcoin has to go now. The Bitcoin miners more or less called to break out in Bitcoin, and it's been a couple of weeks at this point. Bitcoin's got to go, and if it doesn't, I like the Bitcoin miners a lot less today than I did 3 weeks ago. So I did take that money from Hut and recycle it into Hive. I think we have something going on here, right? And then we got the VWAP from here, right? So that's what I'm looking at in Hive. It kind of triggered it, kind of didn't. I think you pick your spots in these, like something like Mara is still so coiled, but really Bitcoin has to go. Here's what I'll give you. For crypto, this is the one you want right now. Galaxy is just so hot. I think they're going to be very involved in the Solana spot ETF. I think you want to start to view Galaxy as a decent alternative to Coinbase. These guys have their hands in everything that is crypto. And then Pat, look at this. Oops, that's not it. VWAP from the all-time high comes in at the same level where this top completed.
So talk about a pinch count. Well, I guess it's not totally a pinch because it's not. A pinch needs one coming from the high and one coming from the low.
No, this would be the pinch. Right, something like that. It's not a great pinch. You want it to get real tight, like Bollinger Bands on the pinch, where it's got to pop in one direction or the other.
That's my favorite thing about VWAP is you could just use VWAP and trend analysis. That could be an entire trading strategy.
Trend analysis to tell you what, and then VWAP to tell you like when and where, right? No, I love it. So this would be like a kind of pinch, right, Pat, where like you could see the lows are governed by the low VWAP, and then the highs are governed by the high VWAP. Bottom line is this one's leaving the station. Galaxy's going. I think you want to be involved. There's not a.
It's not even like a matter of if. It just looks like, I mean, the path of least resistance is higher. It's just a matter of when.
This is so good. There's not a crypto vehicle I'd rather be buying right here today than Galaxy.
Love it, Steve. We should probably leave it here today, though. But I gotta ask you, man, what was your favorite setup of the day?
Galaxy? No. Guidewire. I thought Guidewire was great. I think that's the way that we want to be thinking. Like, sure, we're probably going to get rotation. Semiconductors have done a ton. Mag 7 has done a ton of the heavy lifting. If we rotate out of those names, and if there is some profit taking in these huge winners, where does it go? I think it goes into other areas of tech. I think it goes into more speculative tech. I think it goes into some of the tech subgroups that haven't worked as well as semiconductors or the Mag 7, right? And I think there's some big catch up. Software, cyber, and it's already been going on for like a week or two. And I think it goes on for the back half of this year as well.
I like it. Well, hey guys, I know we weren't able to get to all the tickers in here, but thank you guys for showing up, and thank you guys for our regulars like Jonathan, Mark, Peter, Nick, all you guys. Thanks for showing up. Wavy, of course, can't leave Wavy out of that list. So thank you guys for coming back. We'll be sure to try to get to those, and be sure to email us so that we do get to them first next time at questions@stockmarketmedia.com. Just drop your ticker in there, and your time frame always helps too. So if you include that, that's always good.
So Chewy's fallen about 10 points since we started this video.
Why don't you lead us out?
No, this has been fun. Thank you guys all for joining us. Join us again for the next edition of Chart Request Live, Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Stock Market TV. In the meantime, morning show. Don't miss it. Every morning, 8:30 Eastern Time, right here on Stock Market TV. All right. Thanks, Pat.
Cheers. Thanks.
Bye, guys.